How would you describe the energy you got from Cam Spencer in this game?
Unbelievable. So proud of that kid. All the work he's been putting in, daily, even when he was out with the injuries, running stairs, he's working on his offhand stuff. He is so competitive. The work he put in with the hustle, play groups, watching other guys work out just to learn things. And I thought our group just played with great rhythm tonight. I mean, he was doing a great job playing with pace, moving on the perimeter, getting to his spots. I mean, I thought Ja was phenomenal in his setups tonight. I mean, he knew they were going to be shrinking the court. 12 assists, had even potential more. Found him a few times, found Jay a few times. We just played collective great basketball in certain sequences throughout. Obviously want more for sure, but Cam was phenomenal. I thought he was competing his tail off defensively, getting the crowd into it, trying to make winning plays, competitive plays. He had a huge impact on the game tonight.
What did you make of Lamar and Scotty late in the game, particularly on defense?
Yeah, I mean, just harassing guys with the ball, whether it was point of attack with the guy bringing up the ball full court. It was obviously Lamar, fighting through screens to stay on Durant. We talked about that, throughout the game. Taking on that challenge, I thought he had some great multiple effort sequences. Scotty even rotating out to the three-point line on a couple sequences. I mean, they obviously they hit 23s, but I thought those guys, point of attack defense and in certain rotation moments were phenomenal. And obviously, stopping Durant, stopping Booker's a very difficult task. By no means did we do that, but you just try to wear on them. You try to force them to tough shots, tougher shots that can maybe come up a little bit short. And I thought Lamar's physicality and activity on the ball did a great job in that regard.
Taylor, Ja and Dez obviously played with some combinations that they hadn't spent a lot of time on the court with. How important was that communication, them coaching and getting guys in right position, but also simply just finding a way to win at the end?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, obviously we didn't get off to a great start. They got out, I think, to like a 25-9 lead or something like that. We just didn't have any groove on the offensive side. We were missing some open shots. I thought we were, executing pretty well. The ball was moving pretty decently, but I felt as we got into the second quarter, the ball movement, completely changed, and it was a product of those guys talking to their teammates about screening angles or seeing where the help defense was, how we had to move into certain spots and certain windows for those guys to find them. And obviously Ja in particular tonight with 12 assists, thought that was one of the best games recently of him just putting his teammates in spots, and as you said, especially guys that he hadn't played with a whole lot throughout the course of the season. So their leadership was great. There was even stuff defensively when we were making mistakes, them pulling guys over, seeing Ja pull guys over at free throws and timeouts, just keeping these guys, focused on the task at hand, the execution necessary, but at the end of the day, leading by example with the competitiveness that they played with.
Taylor in the back. Not a lot of coaches would allow a rookie in his 13th game to talk as much trash as Cam did to a first ballot Hall of Famer tonight. What is it about the trust that you have in him already that you give him the freedom to do that and not pull the reins back?
Yeah, I mean, it's competitive banter within the lines. I mean, KD does it as well. So, proud of him not backing down and rising to the challenge, and all of our guys rising to the challenge. I mean, Dez having Cam's back in that sequence and throughout the night, and Ja having his teammates back. So we all got each other's back as long as we're doing it within the competitive confines of the game. And you see how our group responded, but also how our fans responded, and just how this atmosphere completely changed during those moments at the end of the third quarter.
Taylor, so tonight marks our 10-2 when Ja has 10 or more assists this season. He's also scoring the ball a little bit more efficiently in those games as well. Is there just anything that you think that Ja getting his teammates involved and being that much more of a playmaker, do you think it kind of gets not just him in a groove, but the entire team in a groove?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the trust we continue to talk about. And it's just as long as we're all on the same page offensively, we're trying to do it. We definitely have plenty of moments throughout the game. I'm beating myself up, how we got to be better organized or something spatial. They may do an adjustment matchup-wise or coverage-wise, but we know more or less what kind of space we're going to see or we're not going to see, and just making sure we're on the same page that allows Ja to get to his spots on the floor when he can coordinate that with his teammates where they need to move, and we're delivering on time, on target passes. It just opens up everything and moves the defense a little bit more, allows Ja to get to where he's going. He's shooting the heck, out of the ball from the free throw line right now, getting to those spots because he's finding those windows to drive. And obviously, as I said, recently just finding his teammates in a lot of different situations, whether it's pick and pop now with, Jay, last couple games trying to get, some chemistry there, finding guys on rolls, not having BC or Zach's a little bit different than Marvin. I thought they connected a couple times and a couple missed opportunities, but he's manipulating the game to get the ball to his teammates, and it may not always connect right then and there, but the progress he's making and seeing it, I think he's just adjusting so great.
Late in the game, I noticed, and I'm sure this isn't the first time this has happened, but Dez called to get Cam back in the game, and then you and Ja were having a lot of dialogue there late. How did those conversations go between you and the leaders on the team? And I guess how do you balance, doing what you want to do also, with their input and what they may want to do late in the game?
Sure. I mean, we're spending a lot of time recently of, what are our packages, what are our directives at the end of the game. But I also got to lean on them, what they're seeing, what they're feeling. And in some of those sequences, especially with, different personnel in tonight's game that haven't been in those moments throughout. I mean, Cam coming at the end of the game, you got Lamar finishing the game, you got Marvin finishing the game. When there's a dead ball situation, we're afforded the time to kind of look at each other and go, hey, what are we seeing? What are we feeling? Do we need to use a timeout here and get organized? You'll like this, you like that. Let's take in the backcourt. Like, it's rapid fire. We're having to figure stuff out on the fly. But, man, I've got so much trust in those two guys. And just when John and I are making eye contact, sometimes it's without even verbalizing anything. We can just kind of read each other's eyes on what we got to do. And, kudos to Dez calling in Cam from the bench, to knock down 2 huge free throws for us, knowing that they were going to try to take Ja away in the backcourt on that play.
Hey, Coach, after the first quarter, it seemed like your defense clicked a little bit better, even though these guys really hadn't played well together. What did you do to make it a more better transition on the defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our offense kind of puts us in a little bit of a tough spot. We were playing on our heels a little bit in the first quarter, and we were just giving up some of the threes that we knew going to the game plan we had to take away. I mean, Durant's just shooting one-on-one right in our face, and we needed to have more friction and physicality on him. And obviously, when they got into their drive kick game and finding open shooters, we had a couple where we just weren't even ready. We weren't even the first team ready, and our rotations were a little late. So once we kind of got over that, little poor spell there, first half of the first quarter, got a little bit, better. It helped. Our offense started picking up a little bit too. But then we just went out and executed our game plan. Despite them shooting it really well, they've got, unbelievable shooters out there. I felt like when we really just got into our defensive activity, it was just enough to obviously, win a one-possession game again.
Taylor to back again. Kind of on that note, another slow start that you guys were able to dig out of, but generally, I imagine you think that's not sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just proud of our guys to dig out of, some of these, rough patches on the offensive side. I mean, thankfully we finally clicked, shot 37% from the three-point line. Of course, we won it for 48 minutes of the game, but we found our groove. Defense, picked up some slack that we weren't having on the offensive side. The ball movement, as I said, got a little bit better as the game went on. We were a little sticky in the first quarter, but when we did find our teammates, we were just missing some open looks. And just press on these guys, keep shooting it. I've said the last couple of, I think, post-game conferences, like our guys are uplifting their teammates so much throughout the game. It's unbelievable, despite some of the rough patches. But obviously tonight, the ball movement, knowing that they were going to be shrinking it, the early passes, we kept stressing, just make the early pass, and then the rest will just, the domino effect will happen. And I think that has helped us develop a much better rhythm the rest of the game.
It was the third straight game Ja really was able to sort of control. What do you make of that, sort of the progress there? And is it health-related strategy? Like, what's been sort of the key to getting him into that mode and him being able to repeat that multiple games?
Yeah, I mean, I think credit to him. I mean, his toughness on display last couple of weeks, especially this last week here. Obviously, the adversity we faced at the end of the last homestand, just taking ownership, and just continuing to lead with competitiveness, lead with fight, lead with his, his voice, throughout the games. And then just us, as I said, spending more time in situations, and despite our roster rotations changing on the fly, he's adapting, and he and I's communication, or even more so him and his teammates' communication, has been phenomenal. And I feel like he's, finding that burst. He's finding his spots on the floor. He's shooting with confidence. And as I said, the three ball is going to fall, but what he's doing from the free throw line is huge. Getting up there, knocking those down at a really high clip right now. And then just the playmaking, his defensive activity in certain moments throughout the game are, impactful. So I think it's just taking lead right now. Him and Dez have been doing an unbelievable job. But, especially in Ja's case, I love his performances throughout the game, but especially in a game in the last couple of games. Great. Thanks, everyone.